Well, hello, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, this week's blog actually has to do with situational awareness as opposed to some of the more grandiose legal theories that we oftentimes try to tackle. This was a direct request from one of my law enforcement friends that had asked me to write this blog. He said, and he brought up a really, really valid point. He said, you guys teach situational awareness even more than you teach firearms training. So that's really your focus. And the reality is that you've generated a number of citizens that are out there in public that are seeing things that law enforcement officers may not necessarily have the ability to see because they're not there. Or they see things that puts a sort of a pit in their stomach, and at 11 o'clock at night they're thinking to themselves, did I see something that potentially could implicate even a national security situation? And the biggest sort of takeaway from that, and after having this discussion with him, is if you see something, you need to report it. Whether or not it turns out that what you saw is actionable is really irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, if it turns out that what you saw actually has potential implications that could be used to save other people's lives and you fail to report it, then you have to go on with that knowledge. As a CCW holder especially, we're really focusing on being aware of the things that are going on around you, that's being aware of your surroundings. Well, having that level of sensitivity to the things that are happening around you translates to being aware even in settings where there might not necessarily be a direct threat against you, but you start seeing anomalies, things that don't quite make sense, things that don't add up. And it is incumbent upon you to report that information. After the Parkland shooting, there were a number of people that had reported the Parkland shooter, and law enforcement did very little to do anything that would have prevented that event from taking place. Greg Gutfeld on Fox News sort of coined the phrase, see something, say something, do nothing. Well, unfortunately, that's what happened in Florida. My suspicion is the level of actionability on the part of law enforcement is much higher now that they realize that there is, in fact, people watching, people reporting, and expectations that things happen when things are reported. So whether or not the information that you are reporting to a law enforcement agency has any criminal implications at all, that's really up for them to decide. You don't have to worry about that. You reporting what you saw is your civic duty. And as a CCW holder especially, the chances of you seeing something is much greater than that of an average citizen. So anyways, as I always say, train constantly, train consistently, train with purpose. And above all else, stay safe. Until next week, thank you for reading my blog. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me at stephen@artemishq.com. Stay safe.